We stay in North America. King Charles III is set to deliver a historic speech to open Canada's Parliament today, his first since becoming monarch. Charles, who is undergoing cancer treatments, is joined by Queen Camilla for this brief but symbolic visit. Yesterday's engagements included meetings with Indigenous leaders and a royal welcome in Ottawa. His visit comes at the invitation of Prime Minister Mark Carney amid growing tensions with the United States. Mark Carney has promised to transform Canada's economy, to stand up to Trump's pressures and reinforce national sovereignty. The speech will outline the government's agenda to build Canada strong. Trump has sparked outrage in Canada by suggesting the country could become America's 51st state and launching tariff wars that hit Ottawa hard. The speech, called the Throne Speech, will be delivered in a temporary Senate as the main Parliament building undergoes renovations. This is only the third time a Canadian monarch has personally delivered this speech. The last was in 1977 by Queen Elizabeth II. The King's visit comes just weeks after Carney's election victory, which centred on who could best stand up to Donald Trump. Joining us to discuss this speech, the ramifications, and of course the significance of it, is Andrew Latham, a Professor of International Relations at the Macalester College and a Senior Fellow, joining us from St. Paul, Minnesota in the USA. Andrew, thank you ever so much for being here with us. Let's first look at the significance of King Charles taking the visit to Canada and the significance of him opening Parliament for only the third time that a monarch will do so.
Well, let me just preface this by saying that I was born in England, I'm English, and I grew up in Canada, so I'm Canadian, and now I live in America, so I'm an American. This is not quite unprecedented, this throne speech. Usually it's the Governor General who represents the Crown, who gives these speeches, which are actually written by the democratically elected the Prime Minister and his team. But for King Charles III, and your listeners might want to Google King Charles II, that's a whole different thing. But for him to actually come with his wife Camilla and to deliver this, it's not unprecedented, but it's been 50 years since the actual monarch has arrived in Canada to deliver the crown, the throne speech. So this is, to me, this is huge. Prime Minister Mark Carney obviously understands that this is huge, and this is going to make a big difference in Canadian politics. I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say, what Prime Minister Carney has to say through King Charles III.
Yes, Andrew, of course this comes in the wake of soured relations between the United States and Canada. What's the significance of this speech coming amid tensions over tariffs and also comments by Trump over the 51st state of America, of course that being Canada, and him pushing that agenda?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that if the United States could be made the 11th province of Canada, that would be better for everybody, but that's not going to happen. That's not what's on tap here. There are going to be, I think, a couple of themes, one of which is Indigenous reconciliation with Indigenous populations in Canada. That's going to be a huge thing. And the other thing is national unity. But third theme, I think, which will be foregrounded, is Canada is not the United States. Canada was formed in opposition to the United States. The losers of the Revolutionary War migrated north and created what was then called British North America, but we now call Canada. And I think those are, it'll be subterranean, but those are the themes that are going to be emphasized here. Indigenous reconciliation, national unity, especially between Francophone and Anglophone Canada, and we, Canadians, whatever we are, however we define ourselves, we're not Americans.
Yes, and Andrew, we only have around a minute to go, but of course this is in the wake of an election which Mark Carney won convincingly. What message does this send from Carney that the King will be opening Parliament?
Well, first of all, he won marginally in terms of the popular vote. It wasn't convincingly. But the fact that King Charles is actually on Canadian soil and delivering this, like I said, it's been 50 years since his mother, Queen Elizabeth, did this. It's hugely consequential. I mean, the optics of it are unbelievable. Maybe not to anybody outside of Canada, but within Canada, I mean, it's hugely consequential. I'm really looking forward to hearing what he actually has to say.
Yes, thank you, Andrew. And we, of course, will be across those developments as that speech takes place. Thank you to all of our speakers for joining us, but that is all we have time for. We'll continue